is going on, everyone? Chris from Pickdawgz.com here with the Wraparound, where we're going to be breaking down the NHL action going down on Thursday, December 14th, 2023. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you leave this video with a thumbs up if you like this content. Subscribe to our channel. We just hit 100 million views on our YouTube channel. Could not have done that without all your guys' love and support. The Wraparound would not be what it is without your guys' love and support. I do this for you guys because I love helping you guys out, and I love, interacting with the Pick Dawgz family, putting you guys on some winners. Fortunately, to have the greatest day with the Wraparound yesterday. We did go 0-5, but I always say it takes the bad days to make you appreciate the good ones. If you head over to Pickdawgz.com, click the Premium Picks tab at the top of the page. That's where you will find my best bets. I love the action on Thursday's card. I think that's a great money-making opportunity for us on Thursday. So just make sure you head on over there. Check them out. Got NHL action on the board, NBA, NFL, you name it. But you know what? Why are we here? We're here for the NHL action. We got an 8-game card on Thursday. Let's take a look at it. You ready? I'm ready. Let's get into it. First, we head to the Wells Fargo Center, where the Philadelphia Flyers take on the Washington Capitals. And I'll tell you, the Philadelphia Flyers, they got me the other night in their game against the Nashville Predators. I thought the Philadelphia Flyers were holding a ton of value going into that game. And then Samuel Ersson gets to start instead of Carter Hart. And I went back and forth with a bunch of Flyers fans on Twitter. I was not impressed with Ersson. I said, you know what? If you're not on a back-to-back, you put in your number one starter. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it from me. There's no reason that Samuel Ersson should have got the start in that game against a Nashville team that was playing some red-hot hockey on their home ice. You put your best goalie in for, the games that, you must win. If we're talking about a back-to-back, that's another story. But either way, that's another story for another day. Now we move on to this division matchup against the Capitals. And, the Capitals were playing some decent hockey of their own. They've been hit and miss as of late. They've sort of been on the win 2, lose 3, win 2, lose 2 sort of train right now. But right now they've won 2 in a row. So if you follow that pattern, that kind of probably means they're 2 to drop one here. I don't follow that pattern, but I do think the Flyers get the win here because although the Capitals have done a good job winning games, they shut out the New York Rangers, they beat the Chicago Blackhawks on the road, I'm still not trusting the Washington Capitals from a goaltending perspective. Their last 10 games, the Caps have been giving up a fair number of goals. On the season, they've given up 2.84, but in their last 10, they've given up 3.1. Philly's goaltending has been a lot better in my eyes, so give me the Flyers here at minus 138. Next, we're taking a look at the Toronto Maple Leafs versus Columbus Blue Jackets matchup from Scotiabank Arena. And, you look at just the numbers on the surface between these two teams. You see that Columbus has done a great job covering the puck line on the road, and Toronto, well, just 2-10 on the puck line at home. Probably think maybe we just jump towards the Leafs here. The Blue Jackets here, but I'm going to say not so fast. The Blue Jackets still banged up on the defensive front. They're banged up in the crease. Elvis Merzlikins looks like he's still going to be missing a little bit. Daniil Tarasov's out with a knee injury, so that leaves the goaltending duties to Jet Greaves, only making a couple starts in his career, and Spencer Martin, a goalie that I still don't trust. But again, I'm also not jumping to back the Toronto Maple Leafs at this kind of price, just with how many issues they've had covering on the puck line this season. That's why I'm shifting towards the over here. I think Toronto's 7-goal performance against the Rangers was not necessarily a fluke, but it was just sort of a bigger example of what we've known from the Leafs all season long, is that they have offensive potential coming out the wazoo, and this team can definitely put some goals on the board. I think they do that against the Columbus Blue Jackets, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Blue Jackets hung around in this game. Toronto's been known to give up their fair share of goals at home, so I'm going to go with the over 6.5. I think we at least get 7 goals in this thing. Now we head to Little Caesars Arena, where the Detroit Red Wings take on the Carolina Hurricanes. And I'll tell you, I incorrectly pegged the Carolina Hurricanes last time out. I thought that, I said until they show me something, I'm not going to back the Carolina Hurricanes with any of my hard-earned money. And they came out and they beat the tar off of the Ottawa Senators, finishing their Canada part of the road trip in style before they head back home after this game. But the thing for me here is that, the Detroit Red Wings have had a history of being a thorn in the Carolina Hurricanes' side. Now, granted, a lot of that came when, Detroit was much heavier underdogs than they are in this spot. They did bounce back with a nice win in St. Louis. And, historically, the Red Wings have had the upper hand in this matchup. They've won 6 of the last 10 meetings between the Hurricanes. And like I said, those wins came with nowhere close to the talented lineup that the Red Wings have, and with no close to the amount of success that the Red Wings have had as of late. The Carolina Hurricanes are the better team. Do they deserve to be favored here? Probably. But This for me is just a value play. I'm like I said, the Hurricanes are still 7-10 on the road this season, while the Detroit Red Wings 8-4-3 at home. I'm gonna take a shot here with the Detroit Red Wings at home on the money line. Now we're heading to the XL Energy Center where the Minnesota Wild take on the Calgary Flames. And Minnesota Wild, they're back to playing some decent hockey. They are 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. They dropped a couple of games on the road against the Canucks and the Oilers, but both these teams have been playing some solid hockey and got back to basics with a win over the Seattle Kraken 3-0 in Seattle. Now they head back home for a mini 2-game homestand. But the thing is, the Minnesota Wild just playing some solid hockey for the most part, a lot better than the Calgary Flames have been as of late. They've lost 3 straight and 5 of 6. They've given up 4 or more goals in each of the 5 losses. And with the way the Minnesota's been able to put some goals on the board in their recent victories, I think Calgary could be in some trouble here. The Calgary Flames, this has been a back and forth matchup. The Calgary Flames have had the upper hand in recent meetings, winning 6 of the last 9. But Minnesota won 5-2 back on December 5th. In the midst of this, I should say, adding to Calgary's misery in the midst of this losing skid. I think the Wild get it done here at home again. I'm going to take the Minnesota Wild on the money line in this one. Now we head to the Enterprise Center where the St. Louis Blues take on the Ottawa Senators. And the St. Louis Blues, got to the point of no return with Craig Berube firing their coach. And, I'm not going to lie, that was a little bit of a surprise for me. I knew that the St. Louis Blues may be viewed by some to be underperforming, but I know that Berube was loved for the most part in that locker room. Maybe he sort of fell out of favor in recent weeks. So now the St. Louis Blues move on, and what we normally see from teams after they fire their head coach, we've seen it with Edmonton this season, we've seen it with Minnesota this season. After you fire the head coach, there's normally a new coach rub that lasts for a couple of games. And the St. Louis Blues, sure, they've had some shaky moments as of late, but, the goaltending is still solid. Jordan Binnington's been really good this season, outside of a couple blips here and there. Joel Hofer's been a decent backup. Would the recent results show that? Not really, because they have given up a combined 17 goals in their last 4 starts. But I think that this could be a spot where St. Louis could bounce back. Ottawa, in some of their recent games, have struggled offensively. They scored 3 goals or less in 7 of their last 9 games. I give Binnington the edge over whoever Ottawa sends out here, whether it's Jonas Korpisalo or Anton Forsberg. And it's crazy to think that the Ottawa Senators have the lowest point total in the Eastern Conference right now. But again, that's got to be kind of taken with a grain of salt, considering they have 7 games in hand on the team ahead of them in the Columbus Blue Jackets. But for right now, it is what it is. Still, their point percentage would only put them 14th out of 16 teams in the Eastern Conference. So I'm going to take the St. Louis Blues here. I think the Blues they're going to get that new coach rub for a couple of games. I think they get it done on home ice here. I'm taking the Blues at the coin flip price. Next, we're going to Rogers Place where the Edmonton Oilers host the Tampa Bay Lightning. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, I said it before, we're simply just trying to tread water until Andrei Vasilevskiy came back into the fold. They did that for the most part. They kind of hung around. But now Vasilevskiy's been back. And he's back to struggling in his last couple of starts. So he's given up 3 goals in back-to-back starts. Managed to get the win in one of those starts because thankfully they were up against the Seattle Kraken. But on the road, the Tampa Bay Lightning haven't been as sharp this season. Just 5-9-2 on the road this season. Going up against an Edmonton team that's won 9 of their 14 home games this season. They've won 8 games in a row. And while I know the run won't last forever with the Edmonton Oilers, it almost feels like you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And you kind of wonder if Stuart Skinner's being a little bit overworked. Starting night in and night out. The reality is that right now it's working for the Edmonton Oilers. They found their smile again. They're back to playing some solid hockey. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, it's not often that you see them at this kind of price. I understand that the plus money with Tampa Bay could be a little bit tempting, considering this is still a talented lineup with a lethal power play. But I can't get there with the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially with the Oilers playing so well on the other side. Until we have a reason to stop back in the Oilers, I'm going to keep going with them here. I'm going to take them at a reasonable price, minus 154. Next, we had the Climate Pledge Arena, where the Seattle Kraken take on the Chicago Blackhawks. And really, probably my least favorite game on the board, if I'm being 100% honest. I mean, especially at this price. I mean, the Seattle Kraken, minus 230 favorites. Really nowhere to go from with the Kraken here. I mean, sure, they got the win over the Florida Panthers, but they scored 4 goals in that 4-0 win, and that's really sort of uncharacteristic for the Seattle Kraken as of late, who had lost 8 straight prior to that and had given up scored 3 goals or less in each of those 8 games. On the other side, the Chicago Blackhawks, 9-18-1 on the year, have lost 7 of their last 10 games 6 of their last 8, and over the course of that 8-game stretch, they've scored 2 goals or less in 6 of those games. So even when they're winning games, they're not doing a whole lot offensively. To be honest, I just don't trust either offense in this game as well. Sure, the goaltending has been bad on both sides. Seattle giving up around 3.27 goals per game this season, and Chicago giving up 3.46. But in their last 10 games, respectively, Seattle scoring just 2.4 goals per game, Chicago 1.9. I think this could be a 4-2 game at the absolute most. So getting this line at 6.5, even if you get it at 6, I think the worst you get is a push here. I'm going to take the under 6.5 between the Blackhawks and the Kraken. And our final game on Thursday's card takes us to Rogers Arena, where the Vancouver Canucks take on the Florida Panthers. And I'll tell you, the Florida Panthers, we talked about it in that last game. I was on them against the Seattle Kraken. Thought they would add to Seattle's misery. And the Florida Panthers just put up an absolute clunker. Lost that game 4-0. Now, sure, the Florida Panthers have done well in sort of rebounding from a little bit of a tough start to the year. And they were still a respectable 8-5-2 on the road. But I can't get back there with the Florida Panthers after how poorly they looked in that game. The Vancouver Canucks, it's almost like this Vancouver Canucks team still has a stigma attached to them that they're not supposed to be this good. They're not supposed to be as good as they have been to start the year. And right now, frankly, they're still one of the best home teams in the NHL this season. There are not many teams that have double-digit wins at home. The Boston Bruins have them, and the Golden Knights are the Canucks are one of 3 teams joining the Golden Knights and the Avalanche to have 11 wins at home. And overall this season, there's only 5 teams in the NHL that have double-digit wins this season. And like I said, I think the Canucks are being mispriced here. I think there's so much longer there's only so much longer we can take advantage of it. I think the books are going to start to catch on soon, but at a price like this, with a team that I feel is playing the better hockey right now, I'm going to take the Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to take them at -102 to round things out. That's it. That's all the NHL action for Thursday, December 14th, 2023. Just a reminder, if you like this video, make sure to smash that like button. Also, make sure that you have notifications turned on. Just hit that bell underneath this video to get the newest and most up-to-date content here at Pick Dawgz. Also, make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. And if you're looking for my best bets, check out Pickdawgz Premium. And also, while you're here, make sure to let me know your NHL picks in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching.